Yes, perfect. It's recording.
Okay. All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the JBI Covidence Webinar. I'm very pleased to be speaking to you all today and to be introducing Covidence to the Joanna Briggs collaboration. Recently, we announced our partnership with Covidence, and as you may know, Covidence is now our preferred platform for screening and systematic reviews, and we believe that together with JBI Summary, Covidence and Summary will ensure a productive and efficient systematic review development pathway for JBI reviewers. We'll be including information on Covidence in our training programs and hosting webinars such as this to help support JBI reviewers to use Covidence. We particularly think the study, screening and selection abilities in Covidence are going to be really useful for JBI reviewers, and we know quite a few people, few JBI reviewers, should I say, are already using Covidence. So it's fantastic to have this partnership announced, and it's my great pleasure to introduce Francis today, who is a community manager at Covidence, who will be leading the webinar. Francis is an experienced health economist and practicing pharmacist with postgrad qualifications in commerce and health economics. She's worked as a consultant for some of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies and has experience in a range of disease areas. So it's great that Francis could join us today and run this seminar, particularly for JBI reviewers. Francis will be online and available to answer any questions that you may have about how Covidence works, and I'll also be online and can answer any questions at the end of this webinar about how Covidence and Summary might work together for JBI systematic reviewers. Following the webinar, we will be uploading this video to our YouTube page as well. So thanks everyone for coming along today. I'll hand over to Francis, and if you have any questions, just let us know. Okay, all yours, Francis.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Zach. Thank you everyone for attending today, and particularly to Zach and Heather for organising the session. So Covidence is an online platform that enables you to streamline your systematic review. So, you know, the gains in efficiency really help lead to evidence being current, being relevant, and being vital for evidence-based decision making. And this is really at the core of our mission. So Covidence is entirely web-based. The platform really walks you through your systematic review and ensures that you're producing a review of the highest methodological standard. So that's really why we come recommended by Cochrane, which is, you know, the gold standard of secondary research. And it's also why we are included as part of tertiary courses around the world, and why we have our most recent partnership with JBI, which we're so excited about. It's another great way for you to bring your research digital. And in saying that, you don't actually need to be a tech expert. So all you need is the internet and your browser. All of your data will automatically be stored in the cloud. There's no need for file sharing, installation, software updates, anything like that. So by way of background, Covidence is a not-for-profit organisation. Our mission is really to improve the quality of evidence synthesis and its contribution to evidence-based practice. So we really work with the evidence community to provide that digital service that will improve the currency and quality of scientific knowledge. As I mentioned, we are recommended by Cochrane. We really pride ourselves on therefore the most robust methodological standard. And although we're a core component of Cochrane's review production toolkit, and our 20,000 plus subscriber base is not just limited to Cochrane though. So we have partnerships that range with the top universities around the world, including Ivy League in the US, as well as partnering with small research teams in low and middle income countries, and then really everything in between, and that includes guideline groups. We're not just limited to medical research either, so I see a lot of support requests that come from other areas, particularly education, psychology, social sciences, through to agriculture, engineering, and even police. So, similarly, we're not limited in our location. So I'm based in Melbourne, Australia, and our other community manager is based in Dublin. So we really have a 24-hour support desk. We also have people located in South America that manage our Spanish language community, as well as the US. Covidence is really made for reviewers by reviewers. We really pride ourselves on that. So Zach mentioned that I am a practicing pharmacist with prior experience as a health economist. You know, I kick myself on a daily basis that I did not have Covidence in my previous life. And our other community manager, Annalise, she's currently completing her PhD. So, you know, we're researchers ourselves, and I sit with the development team, and you know, we're really receptive to feedback and feature requests, and, you know, that's how the product moves. So please do write into us. With today's session, so the focus will be on importing your search results, screening them, and then exporting your data. So I'm going to pause after each section for a couple of questions, as well as at the end of the session. That's also when I'll show you how to contact me should you have any outstanding questions. Zach also mentioned that I'm recording the session, so feel free to revisit any aspect or to share with any interested parties. So if we move to the app, so you can see all I've got here is my browser. Essentially, with your systematic review, you would have your research question, you would do your search externally, whether that be on Ovid, etc. And then you would potentially construct your PICO, and you would then import your citation results into Covidence. So this is your typical review dashboard. You can see here that it's very task-based and team-driven. So when I say task-based, it's really set up to show you your first point of working in your review would be to import, and then your second step would be to screen titles and abstracts, and you can see how this is set up in a task and a team-based format, in that you've got your team progress to the left, and on the right you've got your personal progress. You know, there's nothing more motivating than seeing your green line go all the way to the end when you know you've screened all of your citations. The next step would be full text screening, and then finally data extraction, which I'm not going into great detail in this webinar. So it's really set out to step you through the steps of your systematic review. So the first part would be to import your citations. So Covidence accepts files from EndNote that are XML or text files with RAS formatting. We also accept PubMed files with XML formatting. So if you have a file in a different format, I would just recommend that you import into your reference manager, such as EndNote, and then export as one of these formats. I might just ask if people wouldn't mind muting their mics as well. There's just a bit of background noise. So with importing, all you do is click the import button, and then you would choose into which stage of your review you want to import those citations. So you can import into screen, which is title and abstract screening, full text review, which is full text review as the name suggests. Included are your citations that are included for data extraction. So they've been voted as relevant at both title and abstract screening and full text review. Excluded are those citations that were excluded at full text review, and irrelevant are those citations that would be excluded at title and abstract screening. So you can import into any stage in your review, and you can also export all of these lists. So if, for example, you're starting at the beginning of your review, I would simply import into screen. If, for example, you wanted to screen externally, you might have already screened titles and abstracts in EndNote, and now you're new to Covidence, you could import directly into full text review. So if we were to import into screen, you would then select the file locally from your computer. So that would be an EndNote XML or an EndNote text file with RAS formatting, or a PubMed XML. And then you would import into the part in your review. So in this example, we'll import into title and abstract screening, and then you simply click import. So that's now uploading. And you'll see our progress here. You can see I've already loaded this review with some citations, and I've already imported them into the various stages in my review. So this most recent file that I've imported had 39 citations in it, and one has been added to title and abstract screening, and the other 38 were removed as duplicates. So Covidence will detect duplicates automatically. It will detect a duplicate both within a file and compare to citations already within your review. So Covidence checks on title, year and volume, all of which must match exactly, and the authors must be similar. So you can view your duplicates by clicking on the Previous Imports tab, and then under the file that you've just imported, you'll be able to check duplicates. So here we'll show you the citation on the left was imported first into Covidence, and the citation on the right has been detected as a duplicate. If you think it's not a duplicate, you can simply click Not a Duplicate and then return that to your list. So this is actually a part of the app that we're currently working a lot on, and you'll probably notice lots of improvements over the next few months. It's actually really exciting, but just to be aware of. So you could also undo an import if you have not yet taken any actions on that import. And it's just a way for you to manage your imports at this page. So it's really shown me how many references I had in the file and how many were detected as duplicates. Do I have any questions on import? I've got a question about site licensing, and I will definitely go through that at the end. Thank you for that. Doesn't seem to be any more questions on import. If any do pop up, you can always ask me at the end of the next section. So now if we were to move on to screening, so you'll see the next part of my review is title and abstract screening. Again, I've got my team progress. So with Covidence, all citations require, if you're in dual review mode, which is the default, each citation would require 2 votes in order to move forward in your review. So each citation at title and abstract screening would require 2 yes or maybe votes in order to move forward to full text. If it was receiving 2 no votes, it would move off to your irrelevant list. So you can just see here my progress bar. I've got 156 citations that have received those 2 votes. I've got none with 1 vote, and I've got 3 citations that have conflicting votes. So that would be yes, no, or maybe no. And then there are the 53 citations with no votes. That would be my team progress, and to the right I've got my personal progress. So I've got 53 citations left to screen. I can resolve 3 conflicts, a total of 56 to screen, and I've got 63 citations in irrelevant. So when we look at screening, that will hopefully make more sense as you see citations move off of your list. So as I mentioned, each citation would require 2 votes. Now they can be contributed from any 2 people in your team. And in fact, you'll probably find if you're working in a large team that you get a random mix of the 2 people voting each time. So it's a great way to increase that randomization. The other thing is you don't know how your team is voting. So when I'm casting my votes and they're moving off my screening list, the same thing will be happening for my co-reviewers. They don't know what I voted on and they don't know how I voted. And that comes back to us trying to ensure the most robust methodological standard. So if we were to cast a few votes now, so no, yes or maybe at title and abstract screening, and you'll see the citations are moving off my list. And if I'm the first person voting and I'm in dual reviewer mode, they've moved away to my awaiting other reviewer list. So here they are. For my co-reviewers, those 3 citations will remain in their screening list, so they don't know that I've already voted on them. So as I mentioned, any 2 no votes would move your citation to your irrelevant list. Any yes or maybe votes, and a maybe is essentially treated like a yes because you couldn't decide from the title and abstract whether a citation was relevant. They would move the citation forward to full text review. And if you've got a conflict, it will move to your resolve conflicts list. So we can continue to vote, and you'll see the citations are moving off my list. If I had someone else voting, I wouldn't know how they were voting. So it would move the citation forward depending on their vote and my own vote. Now you can check the history of voting if it's in agreement by clicking on View History. If you have a citation that's received conflicting votes, you'll have to give a third and adjudicating vote. Now, at title and abstract screening, you won't be able to see how people voted, but you'll be able to see who voted, should you wish to discuss the voting with those people. So again, this comes back to Covidence's mission of having that high quality systematic review. And so you can't see how people have previously voted because that can lead to biasing the adjudicating vote. So it's the third and final vote that would move that citation forward in your review. There are a few tips and tricks for screening, and these apply at both title and abstract stage as well as at full text review. And I'll go through them. So the first would be how you choose to display your list. So you can choose to display up to 50 citations at a time. You can also sort your list differently. So you can sort by author, title, or most recent. And most recent is actually referring to the most recency of an action taken on that citation. So if you, say, for example, wanted to look at a citation you most recently resolved a conflict on, if you sort by most recent, then that citation will be at the top of your relevant list. To the left, we've got a few other features. So I can tag citations by checking the box to the left-hand side of the citation that I wish to tag. That then makes the tagging feature available, so you notice when a box is not ticked, it's grayed out, and then it becomes available. So Covidence comes with 2 pre-programmed tags, ongoing study, and awaiting classification. And you can add another tag as you see fit. So you'll now see that that citation has the tag. I can then filter by tag by clicking the filter button and then either choosing the tag, or I can even filter by keyword. So if I were to choose filter and then my tag is there, click filter again, you'll see that that tag is on one study. I could also filter by keyword. So again, that's in the one study on my list. So I should mention as well, tags are visible to your co-reviewers, and they'll also export with your lists of citations when you export to CSV, which is essentially just Excel. Another great tip is your Add Criteria button. So this will redirect us to the settings page, and it's the final tab, Criteria and Exclusion Reasons. You can also access this page from your review dashboard, and I'll show you how to do that. You simply click on Settings, and then this final tab, Criteria and Exclusion Reasons. So here I can put reasons for or criteria to help me as I screen. I think of this as a cheat sheet. Here I can also manage my exclusion reasons, which is relevant at full text review. So we'll move on to this next, but at full text review, if you exclude a study, you have to give a reason for exclusion, and you can manage those reasons here or also at full text review screening. And you can also manage keywords for full text review and title and abstract screening. So keywords that you enter here will show up in the title and the abstract in your screening list. So if I was to put a keyword for inclusion, then it would show up in green. And if I was to put a keyword for exclusion, then it would show up in red. So if we put a few words, for example, random, if I'm looking for randomized control trials, and you, of course, don't need to be looking for randomized control trials. You can have any type of study in Covidence. You might also be looking specifically for HIV or specifically for cancer, but maybe we're not looking for breast cancer and we're not looking for hepatitis. So now if we return to screening, we'll hopefully see some of those words highlighted. So it's just a bit of a tip to help you make the screening process faster. I mean, we conducted some studies a few years ago. I mean, here you can see breast was a word for exclusion, so it's shown up in red, and cancer was a word for inclusion, so it's shown up in green. I'm likely to be able to exclude this quickly because I know that this study is most likely in breast cancer. Similarly here, I've picked up random for a randomized controlled trial. So it can be a great way to improve that speed at which you can screen. So, time is so precious. It's how we keep our knowledge up to date, and it's also how we make those meaningful evidence-based decisions. We recently conducted some studies that compared Covidence to standard methods, and we found that on average there was a 35% reduction in time spent per review, which saves equating to approximately 71 hours per review. So this would obviously be more if you were doing a larger review. Already we've worked out that 1 million person hours have been saved directly due to Covidence. This is only the beginning, and it's something that we're really passionate and really proud of. The other thing with screening titles and abstracts, another tip that I would recommend is that you can do this on your phone. So this is what it looks like on your phone. You've got the option to vote yes, no, or to skip. I love doing this when I'm waiting for the train or waiting for the kettle to boil or whatever that may be. So particularly the skip option, if I've got a larger abstract, I'm inclined to skip. So yeah, it's really a great way to screen and a great way to screen quickly. Here you would be able to show the criteria, so that's what we entered previously. The other feature that I'll show you is add a note. So you can add a note. Again, this is visible to your co-reviewer. It's a great way for their team to communicate. So for an example of what you might put as a note would be that you've contacted the author on whatever date. You've also got the blue search bar up the top. So if you remember any part of the title or the author or whatever that may be, you can search for it. Do I have any questions on title and abstract screening? I know it can be difficult to type, so I'll just give people one more minute. Okay, we might move forward to full text review. So if you had any citations that were potentially relevant at title and abstract, you would then consult their full text PDF to see if they were relevant to your research question. So in order to screen full text, it would just be the next stage in your review. So here you can see that I have 23 citations that have received those 2 votes. I've got 2 citations that have received 1 vote, and then I have 2 citations that are in conflict and 66 citations with no votes. So me personally, I've got the 66 that I can screen and the 2 that I can resolve. So if we were to continue screening, it looks very similar to the title and abstract screening. Again, you can show criteria here, hide criteria. You could show or hide highlights. You'll notice this additional button, the bulk upload PDFs. So if you are on a premium review, so that would not be the trial review, you can have access to the bulk upload PDFs tool as well as invite a limited number of co-reviewers. So you can add a full text PDF one at a time, and I can show you how to do that, and I'll also show you how to upload them in bulk. So to upload one at a time, you would need to click Add Full Text on the citation you wish to attach a PDF. You then choose the file locally from your computer. You'll then see this progress bar and a tick. And that's finished. So that PDF will now open on a separate window on your browser, and it's available to your entire team. So it comes back to that point that I made earlier, that Covidence really brings all of your data digital. It's all automatically saved in the cloud. It's all accessible to your team. There's no need for file sharings, no need for creating a folder. It's all there and it's all attached to each citation. If you have access to the bulk PDF tool, then what you would need to do is just click bulk upload PDFs. So the first step here is to upload an XML file that contains the list of citations that are at full text review. And then the second step is to upload the PDFs. So if we were to select the file, and I've got one ready already, so it's telling me that there are 3 studies that I've uploaded in that XML that are contained in my review at full text review. And this is telling me what they are. So Covidence is now expecting me to upload these 3 files. So I would need to choose them from my computer. And now they're uploading. So you could do hundreds at a time. And then now they're all in my review. When you go back to, so it's all complete. When you go back to full text review, you can now filter by only those studies without full text. So we'll have the 66 minus the 4 should do, yep, so the 62. And again, you can use the filter function to filter by keyword, to filter by tag. Again, I could add tags here. So you can tag multiple citations at once. As an example. To delete the tag, it's just a matter of clicking the box. The X in the box, I should say. At the full text review stage, the voting options are include or exclude. So if you vote to include and your co-reviewer also votes to include, then that would move your citation forward to your included list. If you and your co-reviewer both vote to exclude and for the same reason, then that would move your citation forward to your excluded references list. So you can see here I've already excluded some studies and it's got the reason for exclusion. And that reason for exclusion will export to Excel or CSV. Here you can see my list of citations that have received the 1 vote. And the final one would be my list of citations that had a conflicting vote. So if a citation has received include and exclude, then you'll be able to see who voted, but not what they voted. As I mentioned earlier, if you know how people have voted, that can bias your adjudicating vote. I mean, if you think of an example where your manager has voted a certain way and a junior has voted a certain way, you might be more inclined to go with what the manager's voted without thinking too much about it. So that's why we've blinded voting everywhere, including at full text, including at resolving conflicts. If you have a citation that has received 2 exclude votes, but for different reasons, you will see the reasons for exclusion, but not who voted. And again, that comes back to biasing your adjudicating vote. So with resolving conflicts, you just need to give an adjudicating vote, and that will move the citation forward in your review accordingly. If we go back to our screening list, I can do a few more votes. So if we look at exclude, this Covidence comes with a pre-programmed list, which you can see here, and you can also edit this list. So it's fully customizable. You can delete any of these reasons as you see fit, and you can also add. As an example. So now that's in my list, and I could choose that. And now that will move off my screening list. And if I'm the first person voting, it will move that citation to my awaiting other reviewer list. If I'm the second person voting, it depends how the first vote, it depends what the first vote was, where it moves. You can opt for single reviewer mode, in which each citation only requires 1 vote in order to move forward in your review. To do that, you would go back to settings. And it's under review settings. Review is required for. So screen would be title and abstract screening, and full text review would be full text review. If you move this setting back to 1, any citation that has 1 vote will move forward in your review. Also at the settings page, we just looked at this, and I'll show you the other way you can access it would be managing your exclusion reasons. So here's that list. Also under the settings page is how you add or remove co-reviewers. So it's just a matter of putting their name and their email, and they'll receive an email from Covidence inviting them to join your review. And also under settings, we've got the team settings page. So this is another feature that I love about Covidence. Here you can track the progress of your team. So you can see here who has contributed how many votes. And you can also manage your team rules. So I can ensure that all citations must be screened by certain people, as well as having all conflicts be resolved by certain people. And you can do that at each screening stage, so full text review and title and abstract screening. By clicking Manage Rules, again, selecting which reviewers are required to screen all citations at full text review, or which reviewers are required to resolve all conflicts at full text review, and also at data extraction, who can resolve consensus and who can complete data extraction. So, you know, it's really showing that it's team-based and task-driven. Again, I love seeing this green progress bar go to the end. There's nothing more motivating to me. Does anybody have any more questions on screening and screening at full text? Potentially any earlier part in our webinar? We'll just pause for a minute if someone's got a question. At the full text review stage, you'll also see some of those words that I had highlighted. Just think in this example, I've not picked, oh, here we go, randomized. So I just, you know, if I'd picked any of these words, they'd show up again in green or in red. So that's a tip for both title and abstract screening and full text review. It's relevant at both. And then no other questions on screening or, you know, even uploading both PDFs and files.
Hi, yeah, this is Christina.
Hello.
I have a question. It's really nice to be able to track your progress. But you have to go back to that. Now you've got 400. Now you've got 399 on some of the actual screening pages, so that you can actually see that number going down as you're screening, instead of having to get out of that and go to the dashboard.
Yeah,
I mean, it's really nice that it's on the dashboard, but it'd be nice if it was actually on the page where you're doing the citations and you could actually see it go down. It's kind of really reinforcing.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you look at my screen now at the top of my list, you'll see the number of citations for screening at full text review are 62. And my number of resolved conflicts are 2, and my number awaiting other reviewer is 6, and my number excluded is 9. So, I mean, if you just work by having your screen references list go down in number, that will give you progress updates on how many citations you have left at full text review.
Okay, so that's live. That goes down every time you respond to a citation.
Yeah. So the citation moves off your list, and then that number updates. You might need to refresh your page, but the number definitely updates.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the green progress bar here, but it's definitely telling you how many you have.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Yeah, great. Great question. Any other questions?
I have another question in this.
Yeah, go ahead, Christina.
I have another question. And I see you can use your tags for this, but I was just wondering whether at any stage you'd want to expand. You've got options to sort of yes, no, or maybe, and here at this stage you've got include or exclude. But in a review, that's complicated. Sometimes if you're looking at quantitative data, you want to put aside citations that are going to be for qualitative data. Or if you're looking at adults, you want to put aside in the drawer, as it were, citations or studies that deal with adults or children. So sometimes when you're screening a mass of citations, you kind of want to parcel them off and put them aside so that you can come back to them later. Now you can do that with tag. I don't know whether that's the best way to do that. I mean, that's the only way right now, because you've only got sort of yes, no, and maybe. Is that the best way of handling it, or is there any other way of saying, well, yes, I want this particular citation, but I want it just for the background.
Yeah.
So I want it to.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few options. One would be having multiple reviews, and then you would have different screening, inclusion and exclusion criteria. Another one would be tags that we just talked about, bearing in mind that they're visible to your co-reviewers. So with tags, they will export with your list of studies to Excel, and I'll show you actually what that looks like now, so you can filter them there. Okay. And you could also use that, the include and exclude, and give reasons for exclusion, and again, that will export with your lists of citations. So it's sort of depends.
And then can you search by that? So at the end of the day, I want to say, okay, give me all the ones that I tagged as children.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we do that now, if we tag, say, 3 studies with children, and then let's create a new tag. You'll see those 3 studies now are tagged with children.
Okay.
If we then go filter, and I'll just refresh my page so it's in our list. Filter, and then you select that tag, children, and then you click the filter button again, but to the right. You should see that comes up in these 3 studies, and they're in my list.
Right. And can you export that?
Yes. So when you export your list of citations, anything that has a tag, the tag will export in its own column.
Okay. So that you could then deal with it in something. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, let's export this list now so I can show you what I mean. So that's my list for full text review. So to export your list of citations, you would go to the Export Studies tool, which is located from your review dashboard to the top right. You would select your list that you wanted to export. So screen would be those citations at title and abstract screening, full text review or at full text review, etc. Export that to Excel. And that will become available for download to Excel. And we should see those 3 citations that had the tag children. So they're here.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Yeah. So then you can pick it up there. Perfect. Okay, absolutely. That's very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, you can filter here.
Yeah.
Also, any notes would export here, and any reasons for exclusion at full text review would export here.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I think I've got one other question. The question is, if I have multiple tags, how do they export? So again, if you have multiple tags, they will export all of them in that final column.
Okay.
Does that make sense? I think it was Catherine.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah.
Great. Perfect. The other thing that I'll show you very briefly data extraction, because this wasn't the focus of the webinar, but I think it's important to point it out. So any studies that you had that were relevant all the way through your systematic review, and now you're up to doing your risk of bias assessment and also your data extraction, you would extract the results. So what it looks like, your quality assessment is really, this is one that I've sort of prepared earlier, but you can see here that what you do is you would have your overall risk of bias, and then you can annotate directly from the PDF and also put comments. So with annotating directly from the PDF, they will copy across. And they'll also, then when you do your consensus, so each co-reviewer would do that, then you would complete your consensus and all of that data would export to Excel. For some reason my PDF's not showing, but it should show up here. So again, with your data extraction, it's loosely based around a PICO, but it's also customizable in that you can add your own text boxes, you can add your own study design. It's not limited to randomized controlled trials. You can fully customize your baseline characteristics table as well as interventions and as well as completing outcomes, and they can be fully customizable. And if you choose an option that's, we have our own pre-programmed options. If you were to choose one of those, then it would export directly to RevMan. So exporting directly to RevMan is just, it's really 2 clicks. All you would have to do is go to export, RevMan, you upload a blank RevMan file, and then Covidence will automatically populate that for you, as well as, your risk of bias assessment's already exported there, and you could do your summary figures there. So I'm probably not doing this justice. I just thought it would be something to point out, particularly if you are using RevMan. And with your quality assessment, you can choose the Cochrane risk of bias tool, or you can have your own fully customizable tool where you have any type of domain and you annotate directly from the PDF. So you can see here that Covidence has already populated my forest plots if they're being used, as well as my risk of bias is all done. So they're my list of studies, my reasons for exclusion, my risk of bias summaries. If you were to export your quality assessments or data extractions in Excel, you've got each co-reviewer's judgments, and then you've got your consensus judgments. The other thing I really wanted to point out was the fact that Covidence will automatically populate your Prisma flow diagram. So in order to access that, you need to go back to the review dashboard, and then to the top right, you'll see the Prisma diagram. So here we've imported 43 references, no duplicates were detected, we've screened them all, 8 were assessed at full text review, and then we've got our reasons for exclusion, and then the 2 were included. So Covidence will automatically do this for you. You can export that as a table, or you can take a screenshot. Do I have any questions about, beyond screening? So I guess that would be export, as well as data extraction, quality assessment, bearing in mind that's not the focus of today, and also the Prisma. I mean, one other thing I probably should really point out is with exporting, you can export to your reference manager. So to do that, you would just go from your review dashboard to the export studies tool, which is in the top right. You would select your list for exporting. So for example, you wanted to export your list of citations for full text review, and then you could go and source all of those PDFs, and you could export that to any of your reference managers or to Excel, which is CSV. So if, for example, to EndNote, that will now be downloaded as a text file to import into EndNote. Are there any questions on that?
Yeah, first of all, the Prisma is great, thank you. But I have a question for both you and Zach, and that is the data extraction. How does that then marry with summary?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not familiar with summary, and I won't talk to what Zach has to say. But basically, I just thought I would point it out as what Covidence does offer. Yeah.
Right.
And really leave it to you in terms of how you want to use that.
Okay.
Yeah, great question, Christina. So the data extraction components within Covidence don't talk to summary at all at the moment, and we would recommend that JBI reviewers still use JBI summary for appraisal and extraction. Not precluding the use of Covidence, but we would recommend you use summary. What we think Covidence will be particularly useful for is the study selection and screening, as Francis has shown us today.
Yes, I agree. Okay, that works well. Is there a limit on the number of citations you can bring into Covidence?
Yeah, that's a great question. So you can import up to 50 megabyte and 15,000 references at a time. So there's actually no limit to the number of citations that you have within your review. You know, you could have 100,000 in your review, that would be totally fine. But you might just have to import that into Covidence across several files. So no, there's really no limit.
Unfortunately. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, no, fortunately, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work screening, but yeah, you can put it all in here.
Okay, thank you.
You know, the other thing I really would like to point out is that you can contact us. So if you're within app, you can contact us directly by clicking on this question mark icon to the top right of screen. So clicking that, you can either view the knowledge base or send an email to support@covidence.org, and we'll get back to you. I mentioned before that we've got that 24-hour help desk, really, because we're based around the world. If you were to view the knowledge base, that has answers to frequently asked questions, as well as lots of links to our YouTube videos. And that being said, if you think there's an article missing or there's a YouTube video that you think would be really helpful, I'm more than happy to make that. I'm more than happy to be receptive to those comments. You know, we really pride ourselves on being in touch with our users, and we're a mission-driven organisation, and, you know, part of our mission is really being in touch with our users, and that's really key to it. The other thing about contacting us through the question mark and then sending me an email means that I'll be able to see exactly where in the app you were when you got stuck. So I'd probably recommend doing that rather than just opening up a new email that's support@covidence.org. It's really bringing us towards the end of our session, so I hope you can see that Covidence gives an outstanding user experience. You know, we pride ourselves on that efficiency gain. Not only are we mission-driven, but we're also a user-driven, as that's really the key to achieving our mission. We really pride ourselves on that. To summarise, our users as well as our team really love Covidence. You know, all your data is in the one place. It's easy to collaborate, makes your systematic reviewing fast, high quality, and you can really make that meaningful contribution to evidence-based decision-making. And it's also not limited to any type of study design, I should also really point out. So I encourage you to check us out and really get on board with our mission. In terms of, I can show you our contact. So that's what I mentioned before, our support channel, also the knowledge base, and YouTube, or contact us via Twitter. We're active on Twitter. In terms of pricing, so it's based largely on the number of reviews. So you can see here we've got the single review price, the package, which is 3 reviews, or the package plus, which is 10 reviews. Now, all of these options come with the ability to invite an unlimited number of co-reviewers. You know, we love collaboration. And the other thing it comes with is the option to use the bulk PDF import tool. And our larger packages come with that additional training aspect. So we could do sort of personalised webinars if that would be suitable. We do have larger packages, and we do have larger institutional licensing available. So if you are interested in that or interested in any of these, I'd recommend you get in contact with us. You know, do get on board with us and our mission. So you can contact us product@covidence.org, or you can contact us through the website. We've also set up a discount code specifically for JBI users. So at the point of signing up through the website, if you use the discount code 20 JBI 2017, you'll get 20% off your subscription. And that's applicable where there's not already other discounts that have been applied. So that's valid until the end of the year. If you start a free trial review, and as the name suggests, that's a free trial review, then if you were to upgrade your account, you would get an additional 12 months of access to that free trial review. as well as full access to all of Covidence's features on your paid review as well as your trial review. So it's essentially like a 2-for-1. Do I have any more questions? I've got a question. So if we have a review team that's across several institutions, do they each need a subscription? And that's a really great question. So basically, one person would buy the license, and that would be, say, for a single review would be US $240. So one person would buy that license, and then all of their co-reviewers would just sign up for the free trial, and they could join your review for free. And they can be from any institution. There's no limit to their domain. Fantastic. I've got a question about the duration of the free trial. So currently we have no plans to really stop that. I don't know if that will be something that we do in the future, but you know, we really pride ourselves on, you know, contributing to that evidence synthesis, and so within that we often give people their first review for free. So it's mainly set up to assist PhD students, but also others. And then with any reviews in Covidence, you have access to that review for the 12 months. After that time, you won't be able to edit them, but you'll always be able to access your data. So if you wanted to continue to edit, you would just need to renew or then upgrade your subscription.
Okay, well, it doesn't seem like there's any other questions, so I'd just like to thank you, Frances, for taking the time to show us Covidence today. As I mentioned at the beginning, Covidence is it is really a fantastic tool, and I've been using it for some of my systematic reviews, and it does, as Frances says, save you a lot of time in that screening stages. So thank you so much, Frances.
Thank you all.
And if anyone has any questions about how it works with summary, just let me know.
Yeah.
And yes, also, I think that's all from us.
Yeah, great. I'm also, you know, please contact me if you've got any outstanding questions. You know, we love hearing from people. I've just got one more question that says, can you export once your subscription has expired? And absolutely, your data will always be yours. Okay, fantastic. I'll stop the recording and I'll be in touch soon. Thanks so much.
Great. Thanks, everyone.